morning.
We recording?
Yeah.
Are we recording?
Let's go.
The Restaurant Morning Show.
Here we go.
Joe Bates, Adam Barringer.
Yeah.
Industry veterans. You
We
can
are.
tell by the gray hair.
Yeah. Or lack of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both.
A little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah. So the big topic that I want to talk about today
Okay.
it's kind of everything will tie in between the headline that I read and the headline I read and the topic. And the topic is, what pressures are we going to see for independent restaurants in 2025?
Okay. So we're looking ahead a little bit.
We're looking ahead a little bit.
And our focus is independent restaurants.
Independent restaurants.
Love that.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but as we start with every Restaurant Morning Show, we're going to start with a couple of headlines that we found really pertinent to what we do. Then we'll go into our main topic, and we got a shout out for a product.
Great.
Yeah.
So a headline came across my desk.
Okay. All
And I
right.
started to explore it, and you know, especially from the corporate world that you and I were from back in the past, the headline was talking about LTOs and really the resurgence of LTOs. And,
Okay.
And so I took a couple of notes. LTOs are limited time offers. So LTOs and new items, and it also kind of ties into, you know, we've talked about Spartan menus,
Right.
and how important those are. And I won't rehash that, but over 26,000 LTOs were run in 2023. Up 46% over 2022. That's according to Technomic, which is a restaurant industry data
Right.
service. So I was just thinking about some of the pros and some of the cons and whether they work, and relating this to independent restaurateurs of having limiting time offers. You know, they can drive new traffic, right? Or they can attract new customers. They can attract a younger consumer depending on what you are putting out there, or they can re-attract an occasional consumer. You want to get that guest in, you know, 6 times a year instead of 3 times a year. And they're also a way to avoid value wars when it comes to attracting guests, right? You don't want to do a deep discount, so let's put something new on the menu that's maybe fresh and exciting.
Correct.
So what it's saying is menu development is in a resurgence. But what I've seen and what I can see is that if your operations aren't already strong, all this time developed on menu development instead of operations can actually hinder your operations even more. It might distract from your operational issues, service, performance. If your restaurant is failing, or you need to drive traffic and you're driving them into a poorly run operation,
Right.
then you're only doing yourself a disservice. So it can be costly if it's not well thought out. Menu innovation needs to always be happening, especially with you know, independent restaurateurs. But just be careful. If you're adding something, take something off. Don't add 3 things and leave the other things on. It can confuse the guest. So just stay true to who you are. You know, they talk briefly about Raising Cane's. They serve fried chicken one side. You can get that chicken on a bun if you want.
Yeah.
Like that's what they do.
Right.
Chick-fil-A. That's what they do. You know, and then Chili's just took what, 30%? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, off their menu. You know, and running
Right.
LTOs. So there are some pros. I just thought it was interesting that there's enough cons to be careful and tread lightly on constantly adding new items to your menu.
Well, to that end, we also had a meeting with our leadership team where we went over some of the statistics about new items. When you take retail, specifically clothing,
We
shoes.
talked about Apple,
Well,
I think.
Well, that's what you mentioned, Apple,
Okay.
but when it comes to clothing and shoes, close to 60 to 70% of those new items, new items account for 60 to 70% of sales. When you take technology with Apple, it's anywhere from 25 to 40% of their sales come from new items. And then when you get down to the restaurant sector, probably 25% of sales come from LTOs and new items added to the menu. But like you said, with anything, you have to be very careful about what you add to the menu.
Has to be well thought out.
Has to be well thought out, has to be well executed.
They talk briefly, and I'll move on to the next subject, about Starbucks and the olive oil coffee that They started. I guess one of the founders of Starbucks went to Italy,
Yeah.
had a coffee there with olive oil in it, rolled it out company wide, purchasing olive oil, getting training the baristas that were already struggling with service, and it was a miserable failure. So test it, small,
Yeah. Right.
a little bit. See, get some feedback before you jump in with both feet. So there's room for it, but just tread lightly and be careful.
So I want to share the article. There's a it's an, I don't know online publication. It's called Medium.
Okay.
And it has all kinds of articles that you could possibly want to read. You find what you're interested in, but with our embracing AI and ChatGPT, I look for new things on stories about that. 5 brilliant prompts I wish every single ChatGPT user knew. And this one was prompt number 5, researching a customer. And so so you put in there, I want to know 10 frustrations, 10 deepest desires, 10 suspicious thoughts, 10 failures, 10 suspicious questions, 10 common enemies, and 10 darkest fears that my target audience experiences or relates to. And then I put in independent restaurant owners.
Okay.
And it came out in basically an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
And because then you go further. The x-axis should be numbered 1 to 10. The y-axis should include 10 frustrations, 10 deepest desires, 10 suspicious thoughts. But ChatGPT is unbelievable. And so where that ties in, the reason I bring that up, because I'm going to read the 10 frustrations that independent restaurant owners have, and then that ties into the issues that we're going to face in 2025. So listen to the 10, and I mean 10 frustrations. High staff turnover. 2, low profit margins. 3, difficulty managing food costs. 4, inconsistent customer flow. 5, challenging competition. 6, limited marketing effectiveness. 7, time management struggles. 8, employee training issues. 9, inefficient kitchen operations. And 10, difficulty retaining loyal customers.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Sounds like the restaurant business.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool because 5 brilliant prompts. So this is AI telling us these are the frustrations of independent restaurant owners. We are living that. So now, as we segue into the challenges that we face in 2025, let me see if we can kind of pair all these up.
Sure.
So economic pressures, inflation and cost. Historical data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows consistent inflationary trends in food and labor costs, impacting restaurant margins. So that right there goes to low profit margins. And, so it ties into low profit margins.
Yeah.
Next one, labor market struggles. Reports from the National Restaurant Association highlight ongoing labor shortages in the industry post-pandemic, driven by changing worker preferences and competition for talent. That goes into employee training issues.
Sure.
If you got to have proper training, and goes into high staff turnover. Which
goes into the culture that we've talked about so many times.
Sure. The next one is technological adaptation. In today's day and age, you have to have a POS system. There are so many food costing programs. If you have an issue with food cost, get a food costing program.
Yeah.
And there are some inexpensive ones out there. The next one, supply chain inabilities, global disruptions since COVID-19, geopolitical intentions, climate issues, all combined. So that kind of ties right into inconsistent flow. I mean,
and certainly cost
and
profitability.
Yeah, and those are,
that's a little bit out of
read those
the
next
independent.
few.
Yeah, shifting consumer preferences. So health, sustainability. I mean, didn't McDonald's just went through that?
Yeah.
Which can happen, and they attacked it pretty quickly.
But that could be,
consumer preferences, LTOs. I mean, knowing your market.
Right. That goes back into difficulty in retaining loyal customers because they're shifting preferences, and the other one, challenging competition.
Yeah.
You have to understand your.
Well, increased competition, the
yeah.
the couple of the prompts here, ghost kitchens, which you haven't heard a whole lot about, but they're still out there.
Oh, sure.
And it's for restaurants too, so that's more seats that
Sure.
you're competing with. And then corporate chains, when they come in, for us privateers, for
Yeah.
independent restaurants, when they drop a multi-chain next to you or down the block, it's challenging. And how do you compete? It talks about regulatory and compliance changes, labor laws. We've seen that at the top of the news
Sure.
all year long.
23 states rose minimum wage.
Yeah, and that's not
for
going to stop.
2025. No.
That's not going to stop. And then consumer behavior in a digital era. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So online reviews, social media. I mean, we talked about it before that people are leaving reviews before they leave the booth.
Sure.
So you better
What
catch
do
them
they say?
before
80 or 90% of all reviews are left before that person
leaves the parking lot. Certainly
for negative reviews.
for negative reviews. Yeah, they want somebody to know. And but following up on those, Harvard Business Review studies links the importance of online reputation to restaurant success. I know that we've worked hard on that over the last year.
Well, you got to think of the guest straight line. They're going to go online. They're going to look at your website. They're going to check reviews.
Yep.
Then they're going to determine if they're coming to your restaurant
Yeah.
from those two things.
Yeah, and the best reviews are those organic reviews, right?
Right.
And then challenging delivery and takeout. If you do that, which is not big for our concept, but if you do that, you better be doing it
Right.
at the right level. And plus,
Sure.
the percentage that Uber Eats and DoorDash and those other ones that are out there that they take from the independent restaurateur that doesn't have the buying power
Yeah.
of a Darden or an OSI when it comes to negotiating contracts with those delivery consumers, that can be challenging coming up in 2025.
Well, Toast just changed their partnership from DoorDash, which I think DoorDash has north of 60% of market share
Okay.
for delivery. They went to Uber Eats.
Okay.
And the price difference was, let's say, $7.50 per order down to $6.99 per order. I mean, so that's 50 cents back
But if
either
it's
into the consumer's pocket, because typically that cost is passed along.
Right.
But that's what the price is to have your food delivered.
Well, and if it's a big part of what you do,
Yeah.
then, I mean, where we ate lunch yesterday, which will be unnamed, and we had a great experience, but I bet 30% of
Yeah.
their sales is
Sure.
delivery and,
Yeah.
third-party delivery.
Yep.
So, yeah, challenges
Yeah.
in 2025, but not
Yeah.
insurmountable.
No, but I would say that really, if I had to look back on it, you're going to need to, one, adopt technology. I think it's one of the number one things that everybody has to do. You got to adopt technology. You need a great POS system that also has the food cost part of it. But then, and listen, we use Toast, but not only does Toast have the food costing capability, it has the marketing capability. So that's how you're going to target your guests. It also has the loyalty rewards program. I mean, it's really a comprehensive system. And I know that there are other
There's
ones
other ones
out
out there, sure.
But
We like that one.
with all the 10 frustrations, I think you can eliminate many of them just by adopting technology and having a good
Certainly
POS.
buffer.
Sure.
I don't know that you're ever going to eliminate
No,
those in
no,
our
no.
business that we've
No.
chosen and that we love.
Right.
But certainly you can minimize
Yeah.
the impact of some of
Yeah.
those. So, yeah, 2025 is going to be a fun one.
It is.
I think
And,
we'll see some new chains and new restaurateurs
I think so.
emerge, and I think we'll see a drop off of some.
And each show we talk about a product that we have used to help in the restaurant or help with what we're doing for efficiencies. And one that I got to say, it's called Canva. And I never heard Canva, about, I don't know,
Not much.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
But our director of marketing has really embraced it. So the few things that we have done with Canva, and we have done so many, this was done on Canva.
Yeah.
Our backdrop, our mugs were done on Canva. Oh,
They're good mugs.
our brochures for the So Napa Wine Club done on Canva. Our culture cards done on Canva. Let's see what else. Yeah. Canva.
Yeah.
So many things are possible now. Technology, it's just one more thing for
I mean, typically you would
independent restaurateurs to embrace.
go to a printer, give them your idea, let them give you 3 or 4
Sure.
options. Now you can create it without having a design background.
No.
You can go on here, create something
Sure.
that looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And really
Oh, and our
elevate
menu.
your game.
And our menu
That's
is
right.
designed on Canva.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So thank you, Canva.
Thank you.
So,
All right, so,
thanks, brother.
hey, another great
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, let's go get after it.
All right.
Thanks, man. Take care. Are you doing a cheer background?
I heard it.
All right. Sean's at